Lisa.
I don't see her. Oh, she waiting on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, okay. It'll be up in a minute. You should be seeing it in a few seconds. You should see it now. Part 8.
Yeah, it's going through the music.
Yeah, it should pop up here in a few seconds. Let me know when you see it.
There it is, part 8.
Okay. All right. So you see the part 8. So let me go to the hold on one second here. Can't get it to change here. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. All right. We got it now. You all should be seeing it.
Now it's up.
It's up? Okay. All right. So that's verse 14. We're looking at 6. Any kin. So we're looking at the wife and her mother. That's their kin. And there's no, it tells you what happened with them. Again, this chapter 20 is a chapter that primarily gives the penalty or the judgments that come upon those that committed or broke the statutes or the laws that we previously went through in the other parts of Leviticus, and there might be some other books that we may go through as well that's not in Leviticus, but it's still breaking something in the law or the statutes of Yahuwah. So going to verse 15, I'll read 15, then I want somebody to go to actually 15 and 16, but starting with 15, addresses the sins of chapter 18, verse 23. So somebody go to 18:23, and 15 says, and if a man lie with a beast, he should surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast. So the beast shall be slain. So somebody want to read 18:23 for me?
A man must not defile himself by having sex with an animal, and a woman must not offer herself to a male animal to have intercourse with it. Oh, wait a minute, wrong translation.
Oh, what
Wait a minute.
translation you reading from?
Because it clicked over to the NLT. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. What are you doing,
Wait
Denise?
a minute, that don't sound right. Okay, I'm sorry. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself. Therewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is
It
confusion.
is confusion. Okay, so verse 16 kind of goes along with that too in chapter 20. I'm gonna read that one too. And because the first one was talking about the man, then 16 is talking about the woman. And if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereunto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. So that's another one there. Their blood should be upon them. And you just read the verse in 18:23. Neither shall thy lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. So that was really referring to the male. But then the woman, neither shall a woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. So again, we're looking at 20 at the judgments that's come upon other verses in Leviticus, the next in other places in Leviticus. Here's one, verse 17. I want you to go, and maybe you might think of another one somewhere. I'm just calling out the ones that I picked up, and maybe you might see another one somewhere. Okay, let's look at verse 17. And somebody get 18:11. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He have uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. And look at verse 11, 18:11.
The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
So again, a lot of these, not all these, they are not mentioned in the actual verses, like in chapter 18. It doesn't give us the judgments there in 18. It gives us most of the judgments in 20 on some of those things in 18 and other verses, because we read other verses in other chapters previous to this yesterday.
I got another verse, Brother Rich.
Oh, you got another one? Give me one.
Try to see this one or that one. Deuteronomy 27:22.
Hold on a second. Okay.
Curse be he that lieth with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother. And all the people shall say, Amen.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Yeah, Leviticus 18:9 really goes instead of 18:11, more 18:9. Wouldn't it be?
18:9.
Yeah.
Somebody want to read that?
It says, the nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover.
Right. That one goes too. So Leviticus 18:9. Okay. Very good. All right. Verse 18. Verse 18. I pulled up Leviticus 15:33. Yeah, if you all come up with some other verses or something that seem to match it better or in addition to, that's good. The more the merrier. So Where are we at here? So verse 18. Verse 18. I want you to go to Leviticus 15:33. So if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he have discovered her fountain, and she have uncovered the fountain in her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. Read 15:33 and see if you think that goes along with that. 15:33.
And of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that hath an issue of the man, and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean.
Anybody see any other verses that may be compatible or different or same? And we can always come back to it, just in case you don't have anything right then. But that's the one that closest one I saw right off looking at it. The next one, verse 19. And thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, nor of thy father's sister, for he uncovereth his near kin, they shall bear their iniquities. Let's see, I have down here,
Leviticus 18:12-13.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have. Leviticus 18. I actually put down at 18:6 too, because 18:6 just in general talks about kin. It says, none of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahuwah. So all these are kind of like near of kin if you're talking about uncovering your father's sisters. Oh my goodness, that's near of kin. Uncovering your mother's sister. She is thy mother's near of kinsman woman, just like the father near of kinswoman. So I actually got 18:6 there as well. So let's go to verse 19. And thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister. It's kind of the same almost. No, that's the one I was on, wasn't it? No, 20 I mean. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness, they shall bear their sins, they should die childless. So 18, I got that at 18:14. 18:14. I got, if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he shall uncover his uncle's nakedness. They should bear their sin, they should die childless. 20. 20 did I say that was? That was 18:14. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Nakedness father's. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thy aunt. So yeah. So and with his uncle's wife. So that's the one I kind of the closest one I can get to that one. Anybody got anything else? Did somebody else got something that's close to it or more on target with it? That's the only one I see right off the top, right off the bat. But again, as we go through these, we can go back. If you find something that you feel is even more comfortable to those verses, we'll use that as well. Okay. Verse number 21. And if a man shall take it, now you all go to 18:16. Y'all pull up 18:16. If a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing, and he have uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be. Did I just finish that one? No, I just did that one, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't. They should be childless. I went on 18:16 on that one. Because it says, and if a man shall take his brother's wife, 16, and thou shalt uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. So that's the one I pulled up for that one. 20. Richard, you went to Deuteronomy 27, and I know Deuteronomy 27 has a bunch of curses and stuff in there. I didn't go and look at Deuteronomy to see whether or not any of Deuteronomy was in there. There might be some extra ones in Deuteronomy 27 that's doing some uncovering. I don't know if it's, like for example, 27:20. Actually, 27:20. Cursed be he that lieth with his father's wife, because he uncovered his father's skirt, and all the people shall say amen. Then you got 21, then you got 22, then you got 23. So Yah is really hard about that, about lying down with kinsmen and animals and all that kind of stuff, beast. So it's abomination. Okay. 20.
Hey, Brother Birch.
Yes.
Even verse 25, I know that people just kill innocent people.
25 of what chapter?
Deuteronomy 27, 25.
Deuteronomy
20,
27:25.
Yeah, when it say, "Cursed be he that taketh reward to slay an innocent person."
Well, that don't tie into anything we're doing here now, does it?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, how a lot of people be, innocent people get killed.
Oh, you mean like right now?
Yeah.
Yes. So back then, cursed be he that taketh reward to slay an innocent person, and all the people shall say amen. Well, there's a lot of people that's in jail that I believe that shouldn't be in there. There's a lot of people that judgment has been passed down upon them that shouldn't be in there. And then there's people that's not in there that are guilty of all kinds of things that they done wrong. So, system is not something to write home to Sally about, as they say. 22. Leviticus 20:22. We can look at 1937. So 20:22 just says, ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments. Remember, statute and judgments equal ordinances, and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. So read 1930. Somebody read 1937. Sound like a year. Somebody got it? 1937?
Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. I am Yahuwah.
I am Yahuwah. Okay. Verse 23. Verse 23. Verse 23. And ye shall not walk in the manner of the nation which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhor you. In other words, he had issues with them. Now let's look at, for example, 18:3, 24, 27, all this is in 18. 18:3, 24, 27, and 30. Somebody want to read that? 3, 24, 27, 30.
18:3 is after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Verse 24, 27, and 30.
Verse 24, defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
Right. 27.
For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled.
And 30.
Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinances, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am Yahuwah, your Yah.
And remember, okay, now everything that's taught about here in 18 is primarily saying they're abominable. All this stuff here in 18 is abominable. So that means if they're abominable, that means there's nothing to make them all of a sudden clean now. If it's abominable, they can't be clean. When we get to the new covenant, if they're in the old covenant and they're unclean, they're abominable, then there's nothing to make them unabominable when they get to the new covenant. So that means the laying down with women, men laying down with men, women laying down with women, laying down with animals, laying down with relatives, incest, and all this stuff. If it was abominable in the old covenant, then that means it's got to still be abominable in the new covenant, which means that the ordinance is still there. We're still using that ordinance, that statute that was given to them of old is for us as well. But I want to talk about a little bit about that when we get through with today's thing. I want to just talk a little bit about that because it's going to be a while before we start comparing it with the new covenant, these ordinances and all this stuff. I just want to talk a little bit more on a conversation I had today with somebody. So I just want to, and they'll probably be, I know they're going to be on YouTube. So I just wanted to just talk a little bit about some of the conversation that's important, I think. Okay, so let's go to verse, let's go to verse 24. Verse 24. Okay, I couldn't find anything specifically with this one here in Leviticus, but it is in Exodus, more so or less. It says, somebody go, 24 actually highlights the fact that the children of Israel were to be separate, were to separate themselves when they inherited the land. They were supposed to be separate from the people that was already there in Canaan, like the Canaanites and all of them. You know, when they went over into the Canaan land, there was Baal cities that still exist then. There was still existence of Baal cities. I want to find something here. Hold on one second. Let me find it. Okay, so now, somebody go, we'll start there at Exodus 3 verse 8. Exodus 3 verse 8, and then we'll look at 17, and then I got a few more I want to look at. So you all go to Exodus 3:8. Well, before you go there, go to Exodus 20, verse 7 first. Let's go to 20, verse 7. I'm gonna read out of 21 in Leviticus here, but I want you to go to 20, verse 7. Okay. 20, verse 7. Let's see if that's right. I want you to do that yet. No, let's don't go there yet. I do want to go there, but let's don't do that first. Let's go back to Exodus 3, verse 8 first. 8, you want to get 8 and 17. And what this verse says in 24, in Leviticus 20:24, it says, "But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah your Yah, which have separated you from other people." So he definitely separated them from Egypt. And then, of course, when he went over into the promised land, over to Canaan, he told them they would be separate from the people that lived in the Canaan land, which was the Canaanites and all them. They were not to blend in with those people, not to take on their customs. Okay, so somebody want to read Exodus 3, verse 8?
Exodus 3:8. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites.
And verse 17.
Oh, I'm sorry. And 17?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. And verse 17. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
Now go to 13, Exodus 13, verse 5.
Exodus 13:5. And it shall be when Yahuwah shall bring thee unto the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month.
And go to 33:3. Now those verses you read right there, all these verses before they got to Sinai. All those verses, Yah was telling them before they got to Sinai. Now I want you to read 33:3.
Okay. Exodus 33:3.
Right.
33. Exodus 33, verse 3. Unto a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way.
So you really got to read the first. I tell you what, read 1 to 3. Yeah. Read that to get a little context first. Read 1.
Okay. Verses 1, 2, and 3. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, Depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, Unto thy seed I will give it, and I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way.
If you, in the context of that, if you read the chapter before, that's when the children of Israel had made that golden calf. And that's when Moses had stepped in the way and basically said that if you don't forgive them, blot me out of the book. And Yahuwah said in verse 33, in chapter 32, and Yahuwah said unto Moses, whosoever have sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Then you go right. That's why you look at 3 is talking. Yahuwah was talking about a stiff-necked people. That's what they were, a stiff-necked. They were a stiff-necked people. And we know that from looking at the scriptures. Matter of fact, we probably can see that in other places where it mentions that about them being a stiff-necked people. It's probably in here somewhere. I know it talks about them being stiff-necked quite a bit, actually. Stubborn. Let me see. Let me see if I can find some other places here. Go to Exodus 32, verse 9. Somebody want to read that one? That's just one. There's a few other places, but I just go that one right there.
Well, I read it because I'm there. Okay. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
They are stiff-necked people. They're always complaining all the time. Seemed like it was constant. So let's go back to Leviticus 20 and go to verse 25. Now, we see how they complain and stuff all the time. Question I have, do we do the same kind of complaining? Do we complain too? Each of us, within the confines of ourselves, do we complain? We're looking at what they did, but do we do the same thing? Verse 25, ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowl and clean. And ye shall not make yourself abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. Okay, go over to Leviticus. Let's see, Leviticus 10, verse 10. And then somebody also get 11:47. And we read in 20 where we ought to make a difference, put a difference between the clean beast and the unclean. We're supposed to put a difference between the clean and unclean, period. So somebody read to me 10:10 and 11:47.
And that ye may put difference between Kadesh and unkadesh, between unclean and clean.
And this is when we already did chapter 10, but this is when the new rules came up for the priests after Nadab and Abihu put those strange fire in the tabernacle that we read earlier in that chapter, and that we actually covered some time back, a few days or so ago back. So Yah separate the unclean from the clean, the abominable and that is not abominable. Somebody go to 11:47 and read that one for me.
To make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beasts that may be eaten and the beasts that may not be eaten.
Right. So there we go. Clean and unclean, even with the beast. Not just with abominable things other than the beast, but also the beast as well. Everything that's abominable, everything that's a sin like that, we are to separate. We are supposed to be Kadesh. So we are to be Kadesh people, not an unkadesh people.
What verse was that?
That was 10:10 and 11:47. Okay. Now we got verse 26. Anybody have anything that that they want to add to up to this point? If not, we can go on to verse 26. Verse 26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, Yahuwah, am Kadesh, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. Go to chapter 11. Somebody go to chapter 11 and look up verses 44 to 45. So I'll read that again. And ye shall be Kadesh unto me, for I, the Yahuwah, am Kadesh, and have severed you, or separated you, or divided you, or set you apart from other people, that you or ye may be mine. Only those that's with him are part of him. Not everybody out there just doing everything under the sun. All the heathen nations, they weren't part of him. They weren't his. From the standpoint of being his people, that is. We know that everybody on this earth is Yah. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. Everything on this earth is his. But it's speaking from the obedience Ruach standpoint. This is his chosen people. These are the people that has been set aside to spread this gospel and do the right thing. So read, somebody go to 11:44, 40. We're in Leviticus. And somebody go to 19:2. And then we're going to go over to chapter 27 and 24. So again, 26 says, and ye shall be Kadesh unto me, for I, Yahuwah, am Kadesh, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. Okay. Somebody want to read?
Leviticus
44,
44 and 45. For I am Yahuwah your Yah, ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be Kadesh, for I am Kadesh. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping things that creepeth upon the earth. For I am Yahuwah, that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt, to be your Yah. Ye shall therefore be Kadesh, for I am Kadesh.
Right. So go to 19:2.
Speaking to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and saying to them, ye shall be Kadesh, for I, Yahuwah, your Yah, am Kadesh.
And go to chapter 20, verse 7. We can go to the chapter we already in. Go to verse 7 and verse 24. Previous verses that we read.
Sanctify yourself, therefore, and be ye Kadesh, for I am Yahuwah, your Yah.
And then verse 24 that we read a couple verses ago.
But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah your Yah, which have separated you from other people.
Separated them from other people. He severed them from other people. Okay. Verse 27, the last verse in this chapter.
I got one more.
Oh, you got one for which one, Eric?
Verse 26.
Give me one.
It's 1 Peter.
First Peter. Yeah, I was trying to stay in the Old Testament, but that's okay. I take First Peter.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
let's go ahead. Go ahead and give it.
verse 15 to 16, but it's good to read verse 13 to 16.
First Peter, is that chapter 1?
Yeah, 13 to 16.
13 to 16? Okay. I'm writing it down. First Peter. First Peter. Hold on a second here. Let me find it. First Peter. I mean, it is actually kind of good though, because we can, when we get ready to do the new covenant, this will be some of the verses we can use to compare with that. So, you want to read that?
All right. First Peter.
I'm in the wrong one. First Peter 1, 13 to 15?
16.
16, okay.
It's really verse 15 to 16, but I want to read before. I like the verse before.
Okay.
Wherefore, gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance, but as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy.
That's very good. That's really good as well, because that terminology is used throughout the Pentateuch, if I remember correctly, other than just Leviticus. But that's good. That's a good reference. So now, let's think about something for a second. This is something that's going to be covered when we do the new covenant, comparing the two. Because all we're doing right now is looking at the old covenant pretty much, which we have some reference to the new covenant, but strictly more with the old covenant, because we're trying to establish what the old covenant, as far as the ordinances are concerned, what they are. Okay. We then are going to take that and go over to the new covenant. At some point, if we get to the end, I don't know how long that's going to take, because we got to take each last one of these and go through them. And then compare them with the new covenant to see which ones are still viable today for us and which ones are not. Because again, I want to talk about something that I think is important to talk about when we get finished this here. I just want to bring up. So, verse 27. And it's funny, this is brought up again, basically. 27, go to 1931. And 27 says, a man also or a woman that have a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them. And somebody read 1937. Oh, wait a minute. Did I put the right one in there? 1937? No, 1931. So you got that?
Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahuwah, your Yah.
Okay, let me find something on that specific one. I didn't add it in here, but I want you all to see something. Let me find it here. Yah, you notice he brought that up again about the familiar spirits and all that stuff again. I mean, this thing is serious about having other gods before you. This is not no joke with him with this. When you go, I want you to go over to Deuteronomy. I want you to go over to Deuteronomy and chapter 18. And I want you to, somebody read me. I just want you all to see the seriousness of this. And what he brings up. Go to Deuteronomy 18, verses 9 to 14. I mean, this thing is, well, you know, I'll read it. And I wanted to sink in while I'm reading it.
Can
I'll
you
read this.
repeat what it was? I'm sorry, Deuteronomy.
Oh, Deuteronomy 18:9-14.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and read this. I want you all to be listening to what it's saying here. I mean, this ain't the only place, but this is one of the places where he brings them. He brings all the different types of this stuff together here. He says, when thou art coming to the land. So obviously they hadn't gotten there yet because this is in Deuteronomy. So they hadn't gotten there yet. But they're close because they're up there, they're getting close. They're up there around what is present day Jordan now. They up around that area there. It says, when thou art coming to the land which Yahuwah thy Yah giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Now, we already looked at Leviticus 18 where it talks about it in there. We just looked at it where it talked about it in chapter 20. And then other places where we didn't look at it talked about it. But still, they had not entered the promised land yet. But here we agree to look at chapter 18. And I want you all to just look at all these different types of things that Yah talks about here. So there's no avoidance of the witchcraft and the evil and the wickedness involved in dealing with Satan. Look what it says here. When thou art coming to the land which Yahuwah thy Yah giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. And you remember those nations. Keisha, you read them, like the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Hivites. All those nations was there in that Canaan area. So they and the people in that area was doing all these abominable things in there. So he's telling the children of Israel, I'm bringing you over into this land where these people are doing all this foolishness over there, and you all are to keep yourself separated from them. Okay, now, there should not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. So we already talked about the sacrifices. That everything we're reading right here is what they're doing in Canaan, the land he's getting ready to send them over into, the one they're getting ready to cross over to Jordan into. This is the land they're getting ready to go to. All these things we're reading here now is what they're already doing there. So they're already over there sacrificing their children. They're already over there sacrificing their children. They're using divination, which means they're bringing up the dead, supposedly. And we know that's witchcraft. We know that that's witchcraft because we know what Saul did when he went to the witch of Endor and he called himself calling up Samuel. Oh, it looked like Samuel. It was old. It looked like Samuel, but it wasn't Samuel because we know Ecclesiastes 9 tells us when a person is dead, they're dead. Yahushua said that when a person is dead, it's like asleep. They're not alive. They're not breathing anymore. Their body goes back into the ground and their breath goes back to the one who gave it to them, according to Ecclesiastes again. So we know that even though this witch of Endor brought up somebody that looked like Samuel, it really wasn't Samuel. Okay, these people that's over there in the Canaan land, all these group, Perizzites, Jebusites, Hivites, Canaanites, all them Hittites and the Hivites, all these Vites, all them that's over there, they are calling up the dead through sacrifices of their children. And they're doing that mess today too. They do it today too. So that the observing the times, that's like psychics. You know, like these people that's palm readers and all this, looking at globes and all this stuff. All this stuff is witchcraft though. But it's different types of it, which is all same umbrella of witchcraft. It's all witchcraft. So, also, enchanters. The enchanters, they practice sorcery, that type of thing. This is what they're going over to, that they're already doing in the land. And remember, the children of Israel, when they came out of Egypt, they was doing a lot of this stuff, all this stuff here too. So they came out of it, and now they getting ready to go back into it. But this time they getting ready to inherit the land where the existence of all these nations are still there around them. Okay. It says, or a witch, we know about witch, or a charmer, casting out spells and all this kind of stuff here, or a consulter, one who, like Saul did, inquiring of someone to bring up the dead or something, a necromancer, a necromancer, same thing, and pretty much a person that's, like that does, casting spells and hypnotics and all this kind of stuff. And yes, hypnotics is a form of witchcraft. Anytime an individual cannot control their own thoughts, when your thoughts is given over to something else, that's tied into witchcraft. Yah has given us a mind to be able to think at all times. And anytime we allow somebody to take our conscience, take our minds away from us where we're not thinking and they didn't hypnotize us, that's a form of witchcraft. That's a form of witchcraft. And then it says in verse 12, for all these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations, Yahuwah thy Yah doeth drive them out from before thee. Now he's saying he's going to drive them out before thee, but at the same time, there was 17, I think I got the right number, there were 17 Baal cities still there, like Baal Hadad, Baal Gerard, Baal Perazim, Summit Barim. You can type in Baal, and you can see some of the Baal cities that were still there. But in the land area that they were going to be in, it wasn't none of that there. But outside of there, it was going to be. They were going to be, because they didn't get rid of all of them. And I don't remember right off the top of my head the verse where is that to tell you that. But there's a verse that tells you exactly that he didn't remove it all out. He did not remove all those nations out. Now I have it on my other slide. But if you guys want to, you can look it up, see if you can find it before we finish today. But he tells us he did not remove all those nations out of that land. It's just like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They had to be tested, and they were tested and they failed. So, and continue reading, thou shalt be perfect with Yahuwah thy Yah. See that word perfect. 14, for these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times, unto diviners, but as for thee, Yahuwah thy Yah have not suffered thee to do so. Other words, you are not allowed to be doing that. Even though they did that, you're not allowed to do it. So it's very important that we understand that. So if it didn't exist then it can't exist now. If it's part of the ordinance back then, which we read in chapter 18 with the penalty in chapter 20, then it exists today. That ordinance exists today. We're going to talk about that too. I just want to touch up a little bit on some of that today, just a little bit. Hold on 1 second, guys. You all can hold on just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. All right. So
I got one thing.
yes.
It's something that is, there's one thing that people think is probably cute and innocent. I've seen this in churches before. When they have them people with them puppets on their hands and stuff.
Oh yes, yes.
That's familiar spirits.
That,
When you look up, if you look up familiar spirits in the concordance,
yes,
ventriloquist, that's familiar spirits. It says that in the concordance.
yes.
And that,
Well, I didn't
I've
know it
seen,
was in the concordance, but I know it's part of witchcraft, though.
yeah, that's all part of familiar spirits. I've seen that before. And
You don't remember, Brother Birch, Youth Federation? They had you
Oh, I
talking to
remember that day we was up there. Well, I don't know. Was that when? Yeah, were you all? Were we together then?
Yeah, we were together.
Yeah, we was all there when they were doing the puppets.
yeah,
You didn't like it either. Oh, I remember.
you look up familiar spirits H178. It's in there. Ventriloquist. That's what it is.
Which one is it?
H178 familiar
I'm
spirits.
gonna mark that down.
And them puppet shows, that's familiar spirits. You inviting spirits in it. All up in the sanctuary.
Well, the thing, when you bring that up, it makes me think about. I remember having this conversation before with people before. Well, of course, I called it church then. In the church then, about. I remember we had at the Seventh-day Adventist church we was at. They had what they call AYS, Adventist Youth Society, and I remember one Sabbath we had a conversation there, and I was telling them, we got to do what the scriptures tell us as far as raising your children up in the Word, teaching them, the scriptures talk about teaching them when they rise up during the day, going back, and then I heard some people they were saying, well then, how are we supposed, we got the children today, and in essence, what they were saying is we got to do some things to entertain them, to keep them, active and attention and all this stuff. I'm saying, and I remember back then when that was brought up, I'm saying, see, that's the mindset. That's the mindset the society has put because there's so much stuff out here. People, you gotta have, you gotta have YouTube, not YouTube, you gotta have these games. You gotta have your iPhones, your Androids, and all these games and stuff. You gotta keep the children active with that while you in service and all that. And what I don't understand is, and some of the older generation that's on here would understand, none of that stuff was going on back then. We didn't have those things. So why is it a necessity to have it now? Because it's available to us. That's because children have been programmed more so or less by the parents who continue to give them all this stuff. And a lot of times that's what's raising them up. It's TV, it's YouTube. I did a program before, long time ago, in a bunch of churches pertaining to bullying, like bullying and dealing with, and I meant to do it here one time, but it's bullying. And what I found out is, in the study of that, and I think I've mentioned it here before about watching cartoons, how a 30-minute act of, say, a Tom and Jerry cartoon is over 100 acts of violence in that 30-minute section. And then you throw your children in front of it and they watch it, and they watch it. And then we wonder why children's minds, why they're so off track. Because the parents has contributed to that. Yeah, society is out there doing it, but the parents. And that's another thing in itself, too, when we start talking about schooling, because that's not the way we do schooling today, is not the way it was done in the scriptures. But that's another conversation for another topic, another day. But we allow society to bring up our children, and then we wonder why our children is like they are. it baffles me that we talk about, not I say we, but I'm talking about society, talks about smoking is bad for you. And on the cigarette package, it tells you that it's cancer causing and all this kind of stuff. And then they sell it, but then they advertise to stop smoking. And all that stuff just don't make sense to me. Why don't you just say stop smoking altogether and stop manufacturing it? You know why? Because it would stop all that billion-dollar industry of it. That's why. So there's just so much that society has put into Christendom, as I can call it, that is following the pattern of the world. And this is why Yahuwah said back in the days of the children of Israel to separate yourself from the world. Just like today, we are supposed to come out of her and separate ourselves from the world. The same thing. Yes, it's difficult because you got so many things around us that keeps us, we got family members who don't believe the way we believe. We have TV, we have the YouTube, we have iPhone, we have this, we have that. We have so many different things that combat our want to follow Yahuwah till sometimes people just give up. They just continue on the way they was doing things and don't even want to move forward in life in the Ruach way he wants us to move. And which is going to lead me into what I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. I had what I was looking for here, I think. Let me see something here. I thought I did. Let me see something. I think when I was mentioning you all about they going over in the land of Yah, and Yah did not remove everything from over there. I think I, let me see here. Okay, when you go over to Judges, you go over to Judges. You go over to Judges, and look there at I got a verse I want to read to you. But when you get time, look at Judges chapter 1, verse 27 to 36. Judges chapter 1, verse 27 to 36. But I have some verses in particular I want to read right now. Now let me write these down here. Give me a few minutes to write this down. Okay, I want you all to go to Judges chapter 2, verses 21 to 23. Judges chapter 2, verse 21 to 23. Now this is during the time of the judges. But it says, I also, and there's some other verses too. I got to find out where they at. But it says in Judges chapter 3, verse 21 and 23. You might want to read all of 2, but 21 and 23. I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua, remember Joshua was the one that brought him over into the Canaan land, which Joshua left when he died. They were still there. He left, we went over fighting, but when he died, they were still there. in verse 22, that through them I may prove Israel. In other words, he's testing them, whether they will keep the way of Yahuwah to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it, or not. In verse 23, therefore Yahuwah left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua. He left those nations there to prove them. So y'all keep that in mind. It's like today. Here we are today. We're not going to be just, heaven can't be on earth. I hear people say they want heaven on earth. Heaven ain't on earth. There's no heaven on earth. Not the heaven we plan on going to. That's not here on earth. This is earth. And what we're dealing with right here is there's a sin-filled world. We're in the midst of it. We're not in Israel, but we're worldwide. Yah's people, worldwide. We're in a sin-filled world, just like they were put into a sin-filled nation. We are the same way. That's why, again, 18:4 in Revelation, get out of her, my people. Just like, and he right here, he says that through them I may prove Israel. So things that we're going through right now to prove us. If we've been grafted in, which Romans 11, I think it is, says we have been, therefore we ourselves are going to have to go through a test. We're going to have to be proved. Y'all not allowing us just to walk like we on some kind of streets of gold down here. We have to be tested. Things are thrown before our eyes. And a lot of times the stuff that's thrown before our eyes is things that we have problems with, that we've been asking y'all to help us get through. So don't think this is going to be an easy walk as far as not running across things. Well, we're going to run across things. If he put the children of Israel in a test to prove them, we're in a test right now to prove us. I tell you right now, when like Paul, I think it was, said, what we're going through now is not going to be nothing like what he's going to reward us with when we get to heaven. So this what we're going through may seem bad to us right now, but it's going to be nothing compared to what Yah has planned to give us as a reward for being diligent, being obedient, and following him come what may. We're not going to start 21 right now. I want to say some other stuff here because we don't have time to go through 21. 21 is the Kadesh or holiness of the priest. I really like going through all this now because Yah's finally made it possible for me to go through this. And I just pray you guys go through it, continue studying yourself, and as you come up with thoughts and anything, don't feel free if something I said that doesn't sound right or need to be or different, or you have a different perspective of it, bring it out. Don't be. Listen. We're all here to learn. We're all here to grow. We're all here to be part of His kingdom one day. So everybody got to help everybody. So if things going to be clearer, they're going to be clearer. But that's why I say all the time, me personally, I'm just like everybody else, just a servant. That's it. We all as servants got different responsibilities or gifts. That's it. nothing more, nothing less. That's all it is. So, in saying that, I talked with someone today for a long time. Actually, over an hour and a half to be exact. And I want to just bring up some of the bullet points that I think is important that you all know and understand too as well if you don't already know. If we don't study, and I'm not talking about just reading. You got to read to study. I mean, if you study, you have to read. But if you read, you don't have to study. I'm talking about study because the scripture tells us to study. There's a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean there's a boatload of false doctrines out here. I mean there's a whole lot of false doctrine. And there's no way possible that we, as Yah's people, will be able to decipher what is right and what is wrong unless we study ourselves. That's the only way we can do it, team. That's the only way that we'll be able to know as a group, as a holy convocation. Leviticus 23:3 tells us right now we're coming together as a holy convocation. We're coming together as a group of people that believe holy is separating ourselves. We're separating ourselves from the world. We don't want to be like the world. And the world is in a lot of the churches. The world is in the church. I like to continue on, and you guys continue on praying that as we move closer and closer to the time when Yahushua is coming back, that we asked him for guidance, we asked him for strength, and we asked him to help prepare us. Because there's text in the scriptures that helps us to understand that we have to be prepared for his coming. And I do believe that the preparation for his coming is not just some period of time frame. I do believe that we can determine it through the scriptures. And just like when I was talking to a person today, and this is important for me to let you know, if, and I hate to even use if because I believe it's solidified, 2031, Yah doesn't come back in, the question was asked to me, if he doesn't come back in 2031, what does that really mean to you? Did you stop, you keep calculating, you keep doing this? And my answer is the same answer during the time of 1844, the time where it was a great disappointment, when William Miller and all of them had professed that Yahushua HaMashiach was coming back. They said he was coming back, and he did not come back. And after he did not come back, there was two groups of people then. There was a group of people who walked away and never came back, just like with Yahushua when he was talking about eating the blood and all this stuff. There were some disciples that walked away and never came back. And then there was some that felt that maybe they made a mistake or whatever, and they kept on studying. That's the group that I would be in. I'm not going to stop following the word because it's not 2031. I don't believe that in choosing 2031, I am saying that, okay, I'm done with the gospel now because it didn't happen. No, that's going to, me personally, that's going to make me even stronger. Because now I really want to know, because I believe, and I've been saying it to myself, even before this ministry started. I've been saying to myself, and I've told many here in this ministry, that I believe Yah's going to let his people know when he comes back. I just believe that. When I say when he come back, I ain't talking about 45 days from now, 30 days from now. I think he's going to let his people know when he's coming back. He let Noah know. He let Noah know when the world was coming to an end. He told the people back then, Noah was a preacher of righteousness. which means that when Yah told him about the time frame left for man, you don't think he witnessed to them, that he preached to them the time that was left? He had to. He was a preacher of righteousness. Yah didn't want, listen, when you go to the book of Hebrews, it tells us that Yah, I think it's Hebrews, that Yah, he would have it that none of us be lost. You don't think he wanted them lost back then? No, he gave them warning through Noah while they were building the ark. Not only did they have a warning through words, they had a warning through him building that ark. They could see it's the reason why he's doing it, but they were so caught up in their sinful and wicked ways, like Genesis 6:5 says, the thoughts of them was thinking evil continuously. They were so wrapped up into that because they didn't even realize that that death was that close to them. And of course, back then, in 20 years, they may not have been living as long, but they were living longer then than what we living now. So the thing is, they chose that. They chose that life. And then they waited till the door was closed, and I'm sure we can reason it out in our mind. When they felt those raindrops, they tried to get in, but it's too late. And the same thing is going to happen again. They knew when that flood was coming. They had an idea how many years it was when Yah wasn't going to be putting up with man anymore. He knew how long it was going to last, 7 days. When it was going to start, 7 days. And he told them how long it was going to last, 40 days and 40 nights. All of those, especially those last two, I believe we definitely, I believe we know within the 45 days he's coming. I do believe we do know that, and he's coming. And I believe he's going to let his people know. Why do I believe that? Because Yah always warns his people before anything. He always warns them. So when he comes back, it's going to be for the wicked, that's going to be a terror moment for them. But for the righteous, it's going to be a glorious moment. I just have a hard time believing he ain't going to let his people know. I'm sorry, guys. Until when 2031 hits, the summer of 2031 hits, and he haven't come back, and some of these prophecies we got that lead up to that, that's another thing too. That's another thing. That's another reason why me personally, why I would continue in it. Because if 2031 wasn't the year that he's coming back, but a lot of the prophetic things happen within that time frame, then it's a matter of trying to figure out when he is coming, because I believe he's going to let us know. I'm not hung up on I'm just wanting everybody to understand, I am not hung up on 2031, but I do believe he's coming back in 2031. So if he doesn't come back in 2031, I'm still pursuing the same thing, because in that 3.5 year period, things are going to be happening. I still believe these things are going to be happening, and that ought to be eye openers to all of us. Even if 2031 is incorrect, it still be eye opening to see all the prophetic things that's happening that the very scriptures is talking about. I mean, to me, it just seems like it's not hard to feel that way. I think even a person that's out in the world today can see these things are going on. I think anybody can see something going on. But the ones that has a more detailed understanding of it is the ones that are studying for themselves. Not just reading, studying. Not going to a church and the churches are not speaking these end times. They're speaking milk gospel. We should already know milk gospel. It's been 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We should already know that. So when you got strong meat, according to Hebrews 5, 12 to 14, verse 14 in particular, we should be this group right here, us, and whoever else is studying Yah's word outside this perimeter. We should be in strong meat. And the scriptures tell us in verse 14 that strong meat discern the difference between good and evil. That right there is where I'm telling you right now, That's where we want to be at right now. We want to be there. We want to please Yah. We want to make sure that that we please him. And yes, I do believe that prophecy is part of all this picture. I believe that yes, we're saved by grace. Yes, I believe that yes, we are. If you love him, you keep his commandments. You can't keep his commandments if you don't know what the commandments are. How can you love him? Okay, the example I would give. We got people that go to these different churches, and the person I was talking today, I was telling them how disgusted I am with these churches out here, because I'm tired of hearing, but I got to keep moving. I'm tired of hearing people being misled, because they're in all these other versions. They're not studying the word verbatim like it says. They're doing this, they're doing that. They just following the flow. They listening and following after tradition. They're doing all these different things, and they're not letting the Ruach, the very one that wrote this through man, work through you to understand what he gave man to put in here. That's troublesome to me. That's very troublesome to me. And as long as I got wind, as long as I got breath, I'm going to continue on spreading the gospel of this KJV. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue spreading the gospel of this, because it's what's got us where we at right now. Not these other versions, not these other books. None of those have. All these churches, I mean, I don't even know. All of them are using different stuff. They all use, but they all saying they're Christians. I'm Christian. I'm following you. I'm following Jesus. I'm following. Jesus is my Savior, but you're not doing the things that Jesus said for us to do, and that is to be obedient. Sin is the transgression of the law. That's why we're going through these ordinances. That's why we're going through the ordinances, because all of these ordinances were not done away with. Because when you go into Malachi 4:4 that we mentioned yesterday, I believe, it says to remember, just like the Sabbath day, remember the statute and the judgments. And the statute and the judgments are the ordinances. So that's why we're going to the ordinances, to see what ordinances carried over to Yahushua, to the new covenant. What he removed, what has been removed, what is still stands, so that we have an understanding of the commands that Yah gave Israel, but at the same time applies to us. We already been through some of them. We already recognize, if the scripture says that a woman laying with a woman or a man laying with a man is an abomination, then I go over to the new covenant and it says the same thing, then that means that that ordinance is still in existence. It's still in effect. So when our main text of this whole series, blotting out the handwriting of the ordinances that were against us, you notice it says, blotting out the handwriting of the ordinances that were against us. It does not say blotting out all the ordinances that were. It does. You don't see the word all there. It says blotting out the handwriting of the ordinances that were against us. So that implies in my mind that there might be some ordinances that's not against us. How could Yah telling us that incest is a problem in the old covenant and that's against us in the new covenant? No, that's in our benefit in the new covenant, because we still adhere to it. We still adhere to it, which means that all the ordinances have not been done. That word all is nowhere in there, blotting out the handwriting of the ordinances that's against us. It doesn't say blotting out all the ordinances, because all the ordinances weren't blotted out. Some of them carried over to here. Malachi made it clear. Remember the statutes and the judgments. Remember the ordinances. And Yahushua said, I did not come to destroy it in 5:17. Somebody gonna say something?
Oh yeah, it was me. Somebody at my job. I was sharing this with an individual, and he told his wife, and his wife was saying the same thing. Give me, tell him, give me a message. If you don't come at 2031, where I stop believing. And I told him the difference between us, a lot of people. We studying, and a lot of things got to happen before we even come back. So what thing even start happening, it's a wrap after that.
Right.
So it's for us to walk the size of the times, and he told you to study to prove ourselves. Then because if something don't happen, you don't stop believing. We showing we doing what the scriptures told us to do to seek Him.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're all seeking Him, and the way things were in the world right now, we had to know come to the end. So it's He told us to endure to the end anyway. It's the same thing. The three Hebrew boys. Around wherever he, whether he come or he don't, we won't stop believing. We will keep on worshiping Yahuwah.
Right. We're gonna keep on. Let me what I want to answer that is this. I wasn't raised up on Sunday, for example. At Sabbath. I was raised up believing in Yah, of course God, but the doctrine was nowhere near what I believe in now. So when I came out of one into the other one, that means I was seeking still. I was still seeking. So if I'm still seeking, and I come across something else, and I believe that's right, then somebody else comes along and tell me, no, I don't think that's right because this is what it should be. And they're using scriptures to validate it. I have no problem. That to me that is a growing process. That means, like I was just mentioning, the people during the time of the great disappointment. Some of them walked away and never came back. Some of them kept digging. They kept digging. Where is the one? This is what I put myself into. If you go over to the book of Acts, chapter 17. Acts chapter 17, verse 10 and 11. Acts chapter 17, verse 10 and 11. This is where I put myself into this category. This is where I like to believe. I like to remain in this category like this for everything that I study. It says, and the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night. This is verse 10 first. And to Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. I'm going to continue searching the scriptures. And if I find out that the 2031 is not so, I'm going to continue searching the scriptures. I'm not going to stop. 2031, saying 2031 does not validate my belief. It doesn't validate my belief. What it is the scriptures tell us over in 1 Thessalonians. If you go to 1 Thessalonians, the scriptures tell us, see, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and we've said this many times. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. We've said it many times. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. And then in verse 20, the previous verse, despise not prophesying. And we can go to Luke 20, we can go to Matthew 24, we can go to Luke 21, we can go to Mark 13. Yahushua addressed the disciples' question about the end time. And he told them what to expect. There's nothing wrong with us trying to get an understanding of prophecy. We believe that we got a date. We believe we got a time. Some people go over there to Matthew 24:36. No man know the day or the hour. Well, it doesn't say anything about the year. What about that? It doesn't say anything about the year. Matter of fact, I go to Isaiah 61:1-2. Explain that one to me. I'm saying all this so all of you all have this. Look at Isaiah 61:1-2. Now explain that one to me. The Ruach of Yahuwah, Yah, is upon me, because the Yahuwah have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the openings of prison to them that are bound. To proclaim, verse 2, to proclaim. What proclaim mean? The broadcast, to give it out, to speak it, to publish it, to proclaim what? The acceptable year of the Lord. But look what else it says. The acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance. What is the day of vengeance? Of our Yah, to comfort all that mourn. So what's the day of vengeance? The day of vengeance is what we're waiting on in his coming. He says year and day there. So how you answer that one? I know no one here online or any of them have, but I'm saying this now because what troubles me is not what's happening with people that's in the assembly right now. It's more of what I'm hearing about what's happening out in these churches, because there's thousands and millions of people out there that keep hearing all this stuff. And I mean, YouTube is their preacher. It's their gospel. YouTube. You know, social media is their gospel. They all listen, all that is their gospel. Not the word, because they don't even pick up the word. Their gospel is YouTube and social media and stuff. And they have no way, there's no way they can prove what they're hearing because they never study themselves. How dangerous is that? You will do exactly what Paul said. You will follow every wind of doctrine. And that is exactly what's happening. They are following every wind of doctrine, and they'll argue with you and fight with you to prove what they're saying is right. And they have no grounds to stand on because they don't have anything scriptural to back them up. They have tradition. Tradition only proves how far away you can get. So, I don't have anything else up tonight, but I just thought I wanted to share that with you all because I thought it was important, because some of you all may come across people that as you witnessing to them, you know, they're going to say this, they're going to say that. You know, but the scriptures don't need us to prove it. It proves itself. You don't have to argue with anybody about the scriptures. Scriptures take care of itself. It's its own foundation. It don't need us. We need it. So, really, unless you all have something else, as you see, we down, if you look on the chart, we got through 21. Now we get ready to start 22. Guys, we're definitely going to be going into next week. We probably go all the way to next Sabbath, probably. Which is okay with me. I don't care if we go 2 more Sabbaths out. It don't bother me. Because I think it's very important that we get through these ordinances. And we understand the ordinances. That way we can then go to the new covenant and start comparing and find out what is valid and what's not. Because I'm again looking at Colossians 2:14. blotting out the handwritings of the ordinances against us. It don't say all the ordinances. It don't say blotting out all the ordinances that's against us. It don't have any problem. Look right here. Let me hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm looking for something. Actually, I'm looking for a couple things. Actually, hold on. I'm looking for it. Get it and write it down here. This might take a few minutes. Okay, I found some things I'm looking for. There's more, but I got some of the ones I was looking for. Go with me back to Colossians. Go to Colossians 2:14. Go to Colossians 2:14. I'm really concerned about a lot of people just as a whole. And then and the scriptures tell we should be concerned about each other. I am concerned about people's salvation. I'm concerned about my own salvation. Let's go back to verse 14 again, 2:14. Blotting out the handwritings of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. You don't see the word all at all in there. Word all. It doesn't say blotting out all the handwriting of ordinances that was against us. Let me just say this to you. Yahushua, through the Ruach, had no problems using the word all when it meant all in the new covenant, especially in the new and old. If all was meant to be there, it would have been in there. And it wouldn't even been italicized. It'd have been in there. So let's go to example what I'm talking about. Let's go to Let's look at James 2:10 first. I got 4 verses. It's more than this though. I'm just doing a few of them, 4 of them. Go to James 2:10. Scripture says, for whosoever shall keep, this is James 2:10. Hold on a second here. Okay, James 2:10. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty. It don't say that. It says he is guilty of all. So the scripture has no problem using the word all where it need to be applied at. When you go over to first, go to 1:8. Now go to James 1:8. It says, a double-minded man is unstable in his ways. It don't say that. It says in all his ways. Again, the scriptures has no problem using the word all when it applies to all. Go to 1 Peter 2:1. 1 Peter 2:1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and guile and hypocrisy and envy and evil speaking. That ain't what it says. It says, wherefore, laying aside all malice, all guile and hypocrisy and envy and all speaking and all speaking and all evil speaking. All. There's no loophole there. So let's go to the next one. This is the last one here I got, but there's other ones. 1 John 1:7. 1 John 1:7. When I read 1 John 1:7, but if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another. And the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, his son, cleanses us from sin. It don't say that. It has no problem using the word all. It says, but if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, his son, cleanses us from all sin. So the scriptures has no problems using the word all. So, I'm looking for something. Hold on a second. I'm looking for something else here now. I'm sorry to keep you all waiting. I want you to go to, because some would say, well, that's not Paul's writings. Okay, let's go to Paul's writing. Let's go to some of Paul's words. Since he's the one who wrote Colossians, let's go to some of his words. He didn't have no problem with the word all either. Go to Romans 3:9. Romans 3:9. I'm writing this stuff down. Romans 3:9 says, what then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved, both Jews and Gentiles, that they are under sin. No, that they all are under sin. Not just this group or that group, they all are under sin. There's no leeway there. There's no open hatch there. That covers all men. Okay. That's 3:9. Now, look at Romans 5:12. Romans 5:12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed by men, passed upon men. No, it says passed upon all men, for that have sinned. No, and for that all have sinned. Again, Paul has no problem using the word all where it applies at. Okay, let's don't stop there. Let's go to Romans 7:8. Romans 7:8. But sin taking occasion by the commandment wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead. That's 7:8. Now go with me to Galatians. This is also Paul. Galatians 3:22. Go to Galatians 3:22. Galatians 3:22. But the scriptures have concluded under sin that the promise by faith of Yahushua HaMashiach might be given to them that believe. Not just sin. He says all under sin. All of us under sin. Not just certain ones, it's all under sin. Okay? That's Paul's writings. I want to now go to Matthew 12:31. Matthew 12:31. This is Yahushua speaking. Matthew 12:31. Wherefore, I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the Ruach HaKodesh shall not be forgiven unto men. All manner of sin, not just manner of sin, all manner of sin, not partial sin, all manner of sin. No matter what angle of sin is sin. So I just want to give those few examples right there. So when you go back to Colossians, chapter 2, verse 14, in there it says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that were against us, that leaves the door open that is not all the ordinances. Because if it was going to be all the ordinances, then we shouldn't even be going to chapter 27. I mean, those 27 chapters of Leviticus. So we got to reason out the scriptures. It says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances, which tells me a couple things. It's not all the ordinances, and it's telling me there's more than one has been blotted out. I can give you 4 right off the bat. Burnt offering, sin offering, trespass offering. What I say, burnt, sin, trespass, and peace. That's 4 right off the bat. That qualify for ordinances. But there's more that's been done away with. It's not all. There's a reason why all's not in there. So I just wanted to bring that all to you all's attention.
Hey, Brother Birch.
Yes.
Go to Ephesians 2, chapter 2, 13 through 16.
Okay.
Read that right quick.
Oh, let me read it.
Yeah.
But now is Yahushua HaMashiach, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahushua. For he is our peace, who have made both one and have broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of the commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto Yah in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby. Okay.
The ordinance is the same coordinates of Colossians 2:14.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Decree.
1378.
What's it that stand for the animal sacrifices.
Oh, for the animal. Well, I don't forget. I don't have the new covenant stuff with me. But what does 1378 say?
Let me see. It say a law, civil ceremony, a decree.
Yeah.
So that order coins is different from the other coins in the Old Testament anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And the other thing too, it didn't say. Well, first of all, do you know what it's talking about when it says have abolished in his flesh the enmity? Do you know what it's talking about there?
Yeah.
Huh?
About putting it on you.
What's that, Grady?
I'm about putting it on you.
I can't hear.
That's all right. Go ahead.
What I was going to, it says, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances. Do you know what the word enmity means?
Let me hit it.
That means, I think it means like warring, like battle or warring between yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it means?
Hostility.
Yeah, hostility. Yeah, hostility. So it's talking about in the flesh. It's talking about in the flesh. There's a battle that we fight within ourselves. The law of the commandments contained in ordinances. Now you notice what it says though. It says contained in ordinances, right? It don't say contained in all the ordinances. See, I think it's important that we understand that what you just said right there though. I do believe that this right here is more so referring to it's reference 1378. I don't. Let me, hold on a second. Hold on, because I got to pull it up because I have it. I have that ordinance. Let me just see something here for a second.
Yes, the one for G1378 is the one that I've always talked about, meaning severity and of threatened judgment.
Which one you talking about?
G1378, that last one.
Well, it's what Rich was just saying. It's really the ceremonial and it's the ceremonial laws, decrees, and ordinance. So yeah, it's more so or less talking about the animal sacrifices and stuff. Isn't that what you're leading up to, Rich? I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. And that's absolutely it. That is go. How can I'm right back to the original thing? How can
Yeah, I don't think we have.
a woman land with a woman or a man land with a man? How could that be against us? How could that be? us understanding that is for us. It's for our benefit to know the truth about it and not do that. The animal sacrifices is against us because it only was symbolic of covering sin. Yahushua removed sin. So we couldn't stay under that umbrella of symbology. We had to have the real blood sacrifice. That's why that was against us. But all the sleeping with animals and all that, that ain't against us. I mean, it's against us as far as sin, but it's for our benefit to be obedient to it. In the new covenant, it still holds. If the scriptures had said, blotting out all the handwriting of all the ordinances, then I would say, okay, then we got a little problem now, because that means all the ordinances are gone. But it don't say that. It says blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that were against us. So it's only talking about the ones that were against us. Honestly speaking, that came upon me right now as we've been talking about the word all. All this, I done looked at that verse about 50 million times, figure of speech. That's the first time that it dawned upon me that two things, that it wasn't talking about all the ordinances, one, and the second thing is the ordinances that are against us is more than one, and it is. Just in this study right now, that came upon me. I thank Yah for that, because to me, it lines up with scriptures. It lines up with the ordinances that's carried over, the commands that's carried over into the new covenant that we are to be adhering to. There's no way that's against us. I'm reading the way in Galatians 2:14, it says, blotting out the handwritings of ordinances that were against us. There's no way of obeying the ordinance of not sleeping with somebody else's wife is against us. That's something we benefit from. Following that, still following that ordinance. It still benefits us to follow the health laws, to follow Leviticus 11. That's handwriting, that's written. Those are ordinances that was written. Those ordinances are not blotted out against us. We know that the unclean appears in the new covenant. Those things are not blotted out. That's why we're doing this study. This is more of a, this will be considered more of a, this is not a topical study. This is more of a more in-depth study in these ordinances. I think we have to understand the ordinances in order to better understand whether they still exist today or not. We got to understand what they were first. And again, this is Leviticus. There's a few other ones in the other chapters, but the bulk of them is in here. So I just wanted to bring that up to everybody. As Yah bring things upon my heart to say, I just go ahead and say it. So if you guys don't have anything else, we can have closing prayer. I didn't think it was going to last this long, but I apologize for it lasting longer. But I'm sorry, I got to continue. I got to give what Yah gives me. All right, so we don't have any other body to say anything else. Then we'll just go ahead and have prayer. So let's bow our heads, please. Father in heaven, we come before you this day again. We thank you for your grace and for your mercy and your love. We ask you, God, that you would be with us and help us to understand what it is about these ordinances that we need to understand so we can carry it over into this new covenant and to our time now, that we can better understand all this and know what you still have in operation today that we need to abide by. Reason why we don't understand a lot of things because we're not studying and we're not digging into things and getting a better understanding of things. We want to please you. And I know studying you, Father, studying pleases you because we're trying to find out things dealing with you. understanding things that you want us to understand through your Ruach. So we pray that you forgive us for any of the sins that we committed. Forgive us for any thoughts that had not been correct. Forgive us for any of this, Yah, that we have done that's not pleasing to you. And we ask you to continue to walk with us. And we also thank you for allowing us to make it to the last day of this feast of unleavened bread. And I pray that tomorrow, that today that you would continue, because when the sun set, unleavened bread, the seventh day began. We thank you for carrying us thus far. We want to be obedient people. And we pray that others out there will be obedient. We thank you and we give you all the praise in your son, Yahushua HaMashiach's name we do pray. So be it.
Amen.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right. You all have a blessed night. And we don't forget now, we got the it is a holy convocation tomorrow. I sent the text out. Keisha, I forgot to send it out to you all. Denise, I forgot. I just sent it to the ones that was attending here. Oh my goodness. I forgot.
It's holy convocation right now.
Huh?
Holy convocation.
What's that?
Yes, it is.
It's a holy convocation right now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We're already in it now. We started
Yes.
today when the sun set. So we're already in it. But what I've got to tell you though, we're meeting tomorrow. That's what I'm talking about. Holy convocation mean a gathering, coming together. We're coming together tomorrow at 2 p.m. I sent the text out to everybody, but I forgot to send it to you, Keisha, and I forgot to send it to you, Denise. So
I forgive you this time.
Well, thank you. So it's at 2 p.m. So we're planning to start tomorrow at 2. So, well, if nobody have anything else, we can roll.
All right. Great lesson.
All right. You all have a blessed night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. This has been wonderful, guys. I really, I'm telling you, you all just don't know. It's been a long time. I've been wanting to talk about these ordinances, but you got to study them to talk about them. So, y'all finally gave some time, and I thank him for that because I think I'm learning some more things even myself as I'm going through these. So we continue studying. And we'll meet again tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock.
All right.
All right. Have a blessed one.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Good night,
everyone.
Good night.